Bitch. All right, welcome back, guys. This is Darreck Kirby, aka DDP of the Dallas Prospect. I am still hearing that little guitar strum. No idea how my music got switched up. I don't always immediately hear what's piping through, so it threw me off a little bit when I actually did jump back to it and realized, ooh, normally it's a little edgier than that. It gets me a little fired up, and today I'm just kind of grooving on it. But you know what? Victory Monday, I'm allowed to groove. What up, Rob X Garcia? What up, Gle? First in the house. Sip the Truth 34. Here on Facebook. Eric, what's up? What's up, David? And let's see, Tasha, what's up? Indeed. So, there is a chance we might have Law later joining us. Big game, not going to be able to join us tonight, but that's cool. We can still talk about the Cowboys Sunday Night Football victory. Ooh, I got all kinds of feelings about that win. On one hand, I'm stoked. I'm running around the house.
How about them Cowboys?
Yes, sir. And at the other side of the equation, I'm a little bit worried because I'm not going to buy into Jason Garrett anymore. And anytime I feel like this happens, he's kind of dodging a bullet a little bit. So I got some mixed feelings about the game in particular, or rather the results from the game. However, you got to give it to the guys. The Dallas Cowboys came out on the road and they did something they haven't done all year. They win that elusive road game. More than just that, though, they also found a way to, I felt, answer adversity, because that's something this team hadn't had to really do this season a whole lot, at least not recently. The Jacksonville game, they raced out to a big lead, and it never felt like it was in doubt. When push came to shove in these big moments at Houston, at Seattle, let me see here. Stream health looks like it's slightly all over the place, so let me make a couple well-placed adjustments here. But whenever push came to shove, it felt like this team would previously fold. And to their credit, even with the offense not firing on all cylinders early on, I mean, that was a slow start for the offense. Dak looked like he had seen most of the last year and a half. Happy foot in the pocket, not hitting receivers, missing guys wide open, and Collinsworth was really letting him have it for a while there, hitting him up, letting him know, like, I don't mean to keep coming back to this, but it's the same problem. And that's how we were all feeling. That's how we were all feeling about the whole situation there. What up, Stevie Mac? Yeah, I am actually feeling much better. Thank you. JK, what up? But yes, that's how we were feeling with this team. So one play, and thankfully because Dallas won, it doesn't concern me. But actually, before I get to that play, let's talk about Leighton Vander Esch a little bit. The Rook did work. I have not shied away from or hidden from the fact that when Dallas drafted Leighton Vander Esch, I wasn't that excited about it. In fact, I wanted Will Hernandez or Harold Landry, or for them to move up a couple spots and get Derwin James. By the way, he's probably your leader for Defensive Rookie of the Year at this point, but Vander Esch is right on his heels. I admit it. I freely admit it. I was wrong. I was wrong about Leighton Vander Esch and how good he can be. I mean, it's insane what he's able to do. His size, his strength, his tackling, very, very good, and he proved that in this game. What up, Ernest? West Virginia right here. That is what's up. But yes, guys, if you haven't already, I know the show has just started here, but hit the like button. If you haven't already, if you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell. I work endlessly to bring you Mavericks and Cowboys. I know you're here for the Cowboys. Cowboys content. I'll even sprinkle in some college football for you every now and then. So, by all means, let's grow this thing, as Law would say. Let's grow this nation. But, yes, speaking specifically, thank you over there on Facebook. I saw that flood of likes come in. Still looking at you, YouTube. I'm kidding. But, yes, LVE gets his first career interception initially. Very, very nice play from LVE on it. Wentz, I don't think ever really saw him. I think Carson Wentz he tried to look him off, but he never saw LVE dropping back in front. LVE definitely knew where he wanted to go with that ball, and he beat him to the punch on it. Intercepts it, and man, that was a nice run back too. Like, I was texting James in Law actually saying, so, can he play tight end too, or what? Because I'm just saying. that was like the best big play down the field we had seen from a big fella in some time, it felt like. I know Swaim had his play a couple games back, but by all means, man, this was a big, big game for LVE. This is the first game that I really looked at. I mean, he's been impressive. We've seen him with games with 11 tackles, 10 solo. We've seen him have some big, impactful plays. But I felt like this single game was the one you look at and you say, Zeke made it so that this offense would win. But LVE is, to me, the player of the game. Not just the pick, not just a massive play he made at the goal line where he settled. I think he forced the Eagles to settle for a field goal, or maybe I'm one drive off and they still got a touchdown. But regardless, phenomenal pursuit and explosiveness to the ball. The big play, the play we all know about. I'm going to throw the graphic up now and let you even see his quote because I got a feeling it's a good one. This one has been very popular circulating today since I made it. We got Leighton Vander Esch talking about his fourth quarter stop, the effective, I guess you would say, game-saving tackle. It was a 3rd and 2 in Dallas territory. Philadelphia gets a first down. They're going to keep grinding that clock down. I think we're 3 minutes and change at that point. So very, very crucial that the Eagles could have forced overtime on this drive. I mean, they could have tied the game up at 27. Leighton Vander Esch said, not happening. It didn't matter that he had 2 guys out in space trying to block him. He cut between them and made a great, great solid tackle on a really tough guy to bring down there. Who is that? Is that Clemente? Yeah. Brings down the Eagles back in the backfield, sets up a 4th and 7, and they go for it the next play. They have to go for it on 4th down, obviously, and great closeout by Jeff Heath. Stops Zach Ertz short of the marker. Beautiful, beautiful play by Leighton Vander Esch that sets up Jeff Heath's beautiful play. So I really, really appreciated how Dallas responded in this situation. Its graphic's been up there long enough that you've probably read it, but I'll go ahead and read it because I like to refresh my own memory. Shows you a little bit of his thought process. He said, "I knew they were going to try something kind of nifty. They tried that screen, and I knew it was coming. I just put myself in position to make sure I was outside to turn back, if anything, and made a play." That's incredible, man. Like, he probably saves the game for Dallas there. Zeke also, as I mentioned before, he had a huge day, had another awesome hurdle over the top. That was the play I mentioned earlier that I actually had to circle as a concern at the time, because when Zeke hurdles the defender, he trips on the turf monster at about the 10-yard line, and he should have scored on the play. Like, it is phenomenal. I could try and pull up the graphic real quick, but I don't want to mess up the whole setup there. Oh, hey, yeah, like us on Facebook too, since I accidentally just ran that graphic. Ha! But yeah, Zeke, I mean, it's probably the highest hurdle I've seen from Zeke, and he hasn't hurdled anyone in a minute, at least not like that. So incredible play by him, but he goes down inside the 10, and Dallas has to settle for a field goal on the drive. That was huge. I marched down when Zeke fell to the turf after the hurdle. I wrote down on my pen and paper. I guess you don't write on your pen, you write with your pen. I digress. I marched down that moment and said that could be a key play of the game if Dallas doesn't get a touchdown. They didn't, so I circled it. It's in the living room, otherwise I would literally hold up the paper to prove that. But circled it, and I was like, okay, let's see what plays out here. And I was convinced for a while it was going to come back to haunt them, because Dallas was struggling offensively in this game. I didn't have a whole lot of faith in the offense to put up big points, but you know what? They get 27 in the end. One thing of note for me, Dak, Dak had an uneven game. He still threw for, I think, 270 yards, which is nice, but there were ample opportunities for him to do more. Maybe in this case, it's one of those situations where you have to kind of be okay with baby steps, as I spittle all over myself inexplicably. Baby steps. That makes sense as I'm talking about baby. Just bleh. Baby steps in the right direction for Dak. So let me pull up his stats here. Dak went 26 of 36 for 270 yards and a touchdown. He was sacked 4 times. A lot of that felt like he was under duress. But here's why I said Zeke is the offensive player of the game. 19 carries, 151 yards, and a touchdown. And at one point, he had like a 10-yard average. So he ends up with a 7.9 average. The hurdle was the 35-yarder here. Awesome game out of Zeke. This looked like what Dallas said that their formula and their identity was going to be coming into the year. But here is the key difference. Let me adjust my setup here. The key difference in why it worked Sunday and why the Monday night before it worked okay, to me, is Amari Cooper. Now, here's why. Amari Cooper, just his presence. Now, his numbers don't blow you away. 6 catches, 75 yards, no touchdowns or anything, 12.5 yards a carry. You saw Dak throw for him in the end zone 2 or 3 times, just couldn't quite get it there. Part of that's just on Dak, part of that's just on their chemistry. They'll develop that. But to me, his presence alone changes how defenses have to play Dallas. Because here's the thing. Previously, defenses were able just to stack the box against Zeke. They didn't have to fear the Dallas receivers. It would be like stack the box and then bracket Beasley, and you've effectively taken Dallas out of its flow. And that worked most of the time. Allen Hurns didn't do a whole lot. Gallup started to flash, but we still weren't seeing enough to really put it over the top. And it was critical to add a receiver like Amari Cooper, I felt, because it changes the dynamic for Dallas. and what they're able to do. Defenses have to respect Amari Cooper, and you see big plays out of him too. It's not like he's just out there like a decoy. You see him putting guys on skates. Ronald Darby, the probably best cornerback on Philadelphia right now, he blew out his ACL trying to keep up with Amari Cooper's shifty route running. I saw that. I shared that on Facebook earlier. I saw that's been blowing up. Last I saw it was shared like some insane number, like 275 times. Like, whew, did not expect that one to go wildfire, but thank you guys for that. I appreciate it. But yes, Amari Cooper, man, you had plays like that. You had plays like the 3rd and 7, I want to say it was, deep in their own territory in the second half, early third quarter. Dak hits him about 3 yards shy. Eagles player levels into him at the waist. Cooper doesn't really bounce. He bounces off, but not like back far. He just kind of, the Eagles guy goes down. Cooper backs a step, and then he runs it the rest of the way for a first down. Big first down that Dallas needed there. I mean, it's plays like that, and that's why I said he is probably the best route runner Dallas has seen in years. I mean, Cole Beasley's a very good route runner, too. I'm talking about from like the X position here. Probably one of the best route runners Dallas has seen in years, and he's got that physicality to his game. He's not the same type of receiver so much in the jump ball way that Des Bryant was, but, salute, by the way, salute to Des. Obviously, he gets signed by the Saints, and then I think it's his first practice towards the end, tears his Achilles. Really unfortunate at his age. You hope that's not the end of his career. I can talk about that more if you guys want later, but that just popped into my head as I mentioned Dez, so it felt like worth mentioning. But yes, Cooper, he's not so much that type of jump ball receiver. He can do a little bit of that, but I think he's just a great route runner, and he does have some physicality to his game. He runs angry at times, and you saw it there. Let's see here. Check out the family on Facebook. What's up, guys? Tackles like where... Oh, talking about LVE. Tackles like where did back in the day. Absolutely. Zeke was a beast. Yeah, Leighton Vander Esch is, I believe, 2nd in the NFL with 61 solo tackles on the season. And he's like behind by like 3 from the leader. So incredible stuff from him. And keep in mind, that's him not even getting extended time. Like that's him filling in for Sean Lee. Dallas, based on their rotation, they're effectively telling you they think when we have all of our guys healthy, we consider LVE our 3rd best linebacker. That's kind of what they're saying, which is silly to me because I think he's already shown in many respects that he can bring something to the game that Lee cannot at this point, not the least of which is just a clean bill of health. But it shows when you have games like this, it shows his impact from just a physical specimen standpoint. He did some things in this game that I don't know that Sean Lee could have done them as well. But we'll see. Sean Lee's on the shelf for another like 3 weeks at least. Let's see what LVE can continue to do in his absence. Dak needs to stop overthrowing Cooper. They should have had another TD. Yes, I agree. Part of that's chemistry. Part of that is it was during Dak's rough stretch of the game to start. I'll give Dak this. He is resilient. And I still remember the guy who in 2016 had a tendency to make the big play in the big moment and who really did well in the face of adversity. Green Bay, the playoff game, not at Green Bay, just the game. Down 21-3 at home. He rallies them all the way back to tie the game at 31. Now, he does get the ball with a chance to drive for the game winner. They have to settle for a punt before they get across midfield. Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers, game. That's just how that went. But you see those moments of resiliency, and it is something to marvel at and appreciate at times. So for me, I still think that guy is in there somewhere, and you see flashes of him at times. You see that swagger kind of come out of him at times. I saw it a couple times in the second half of this game where he's animated and he's talking with his receivers on the sideline, not in a frustrated, like complaining or arguing with someone saying, hey, you should have done this or whatever, but in like a kind of rallying the troops kind of way. He's got great leadership skills as well. I'm not ready yet to give up on Dak Prescott. I think you have to get rid of these coaches. If you're going to save Dak, you got to be willing to give up Jason and Linehan. Not just one, both. Both have to go. But that's another topic entirely. Dak he's regressed. He has to figure it out. Kimberly, what's up? We're going to lose to the Redskins and Saints. 9-7 season at best. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think Washington's beatable. We should have had them at Washington. I know their record says 6-3. I think they're beatable. I really do. I think 9-7 can get you the division title in here. So we'll see. I mean, I know that seems crazy, but the Saints, I'll grant you that. Saints, I don't have very much optimism for. I would say Atlanta has not looked very good this year, so I'm still optimistic on that front as well. But that's like cautious optimism, because we know Dallas at times likes to be fool's gold. They'll do something like this, and right as we start going like, oh, you see what they're doing? They'll fall apart. And that's just what happens. I mean, it's just a punch to the gut. Just terrible. So, let's see here. I have any other drops on quick call? No. But yes, in the game like at Washington. And we let him off the hook. There you go. I found one more drop to use. But we'll see how that shapes up for sure. They've got a ways to go. They're 4-5. They finally won a game on the road. Now they have to move on to the next task for something they have yet to do this season: win back-to-back games. And they're going to have to do more than one game. They're going to have to go more than a 2-game streak. It's going to take some work. What up, Brett Bender? What up, Young Onyx? Let's see here. Stevie Mac. Dak still looks iffy, but I think it's best to stick with him, especially since we don't have a first-rounder. Give him one more year with the new offensive coordinator and QB coach. No legit QBs in free agency anyway. Pretty much dead on to my sentiment as far as Dak is concerned. I think that you can salvage Dak Prescott, but again, not with this coaching staff. So, let's see here. So let's talk a little bit on Dez Bryant here. Dez Bryant, this has been a divisive thing, and it's amazing to me just how divisive it was in such a short span of time. You had last week, you hear that he's going to sign with New Orleans, and everyone, all the Cowboy fans you see, not all of them, but a lot of them, a sizable portion of the fan base, it's one thing to just say, I'm happy for him, and this is great for him. It's another to kind of flip the expectation and basically kind of bandwagon over there. And I don't know. I don't want to trash people, because it's hard to tell sometimes what's said ironically and what's said hey, for Dez's sake, I hope the Saints do well. That's fine. But you had this huge swell of energy around the Saints. Suddenly everyone's saying, hey, it's Super Bowl contenders. And it seemed to me like people were kind of resetting Dez back to 2014 Dez and expecting that to be the case. And I thought that was a little premature. And then, of course, you have the unfortunate injury. I wanted the best for Dez. I wanted him to get his DeMarcus Ware moment where it's like, hey, we failed you doing it here. I'm hoping you can go elsewhere and do it, because that'll make your career feel more complete in that way. You're still an all-time great for the team, for the Cowboys. And Dez couldn't get that moment, unfortunately. Like I said, he's 30 years old, I believe now, and he's coming off a torn Achilles. That's a brutal injury in general, let alone his age for his position. This could very well be the end of Dez Bryant's career. We'll see how he can respond, but my heart aches for the guy, because I really did want him to take that next step for his career, for his legacy. I know that there was bad blood for a while there, but it is what it is. Ultimately, you want what's best for your team's all-timers. Let's see here. J-Live, what up? The only game we might lose is the Saints, and the defense is really suspect. Oh, he's talking with Kimberly in the chat. Let's see. Stevie. Oh, wait, Tim. Who replaced Connor Williams? To be honest, he played better than Connor Williams on the offense, had no openings line. Okay, so... Oh, man, make me try and say this guy's name. As a guy we picked up off of the Texans, he did have a very good game. Yes, he did. I don't have his name right here in front of me. It's like Via, something Ovia. Someone in the comments hit me up with that. Oh, wait. Xavier Sufilo. There we go. Yes. Yeah, he had a very good game, but here's the thing. Colombo took over the offensive line, short notice before the Titans game. He really had like 1 week to work with them, and they didn't have a great game. Yeah, Connor Williams didn't have a great game either, but he was injured in that game, don't forget. And, Xavier had a good game here, but they also had another week of working in their more physical previous style that they used to do. The way that they explain it is that Colombo took them back to more like a heavy metal mindset when it comes to blocking and their aggression, whereas Paul Alexander was more of like a classical music and like technique. And I mean, obviously you're like, well, you want technique. True. I mean, I can't break down all the differences of their technique. I can just tell you that our line, through the years, it was the best in the NFL. It was a more physical, aggressive style of offensive line. They were maulers. And 2 weeks now with the return to form, and it helped also that you got the best game out of the season out of guys like Tyron Smith. He clearly benefited from the switch back technique-wise. And, I think it all contributed to it. I'm not ready to... Xavier had a great game. I don't want to take anything away from him, but I'm not ready to say, hey, Connor Williams is bad, he shouldn't be playing at all. Maybe ultimately what ends up happening is they move Lyle Collins to guard again and flip Connor Williams to right tackle. I think that might be the best, but that's an off-season adjustment. But we'll see. I think Collins can be a lot better than what we're getting out of him, and I think he's best if you put him back to guard, where he's shown his most dominant flashes, I feel, in his career. Let's see here. So, let me bring up a question for you guys. I'm going to make this like a quick interactive question with you guys. I have nothing on the board to actually show it as interactive. But let me ask you guys this. We were discussing earlier that Dak, if you're going to save Dak, you can't have Garrett and Linehan as well. But let's just take Linehan out of the equation. Dak versus Garrett. This is the debate. This is the question. Fastest way to fix the Cowboys and make them better. Who survives? Who wins out? You either got to get rid of Dak or you got to get rid of Garrett. Let me know in the comments who you think has to go in that equation. If you can only take one. Even though Dak missed Cooper, a lot of big plays, the connection between them is getting better. You can just see it. I agree, Tavion. Sorry. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Let me see here. I was on the wrong board to have the proper drop I wanted. Thanks, Stevie and Prospect. Yeah, absolutely, man. There you go. Sweet. Everything I dreamed it would be. But yes, let me know. Hit the comments. Let me know who you think. One has to go. Garrett or Dak, who you got? Me personally? Okay, I see Tim answering. Garrett, I want to see Dak with another coach. Okay, I like the thought process there for sure. So I had a really borderline heated debate with someone about this the other day, and it's a friend and everything, so nothing too heated, not like we were throwing punches, but we're on opposite sides of this equation. Dak has regressed. I yield that absolutely. I think that Dak has regressed, but to me, and here's the simple truth I drew it to. Garrett's contract ends before Dak's does. It solves itself. You just don't renew Garrett, and it's done. Now, if Jerry renews Garrett, then everything is thrown into the wind. Because if you're going to save Dak, and Jerry, sources close to Jerry said, this was weeks ago even, there are two untouchables for this season in Jerry's mind. Dak Prescott and Chris Richard. Dak, he believes, can still be great. He saw it in 2016, and he thinks with the right coaching, he can absolutely be great. Chris Richard, he has become quote-unquote obsessed with and he views as either the next defensive coordinator or, if he were to move on from Garrett, the next head coach potentially. So if Dak's untouchable, then it's becoming clear, or at least I hope games like Sunday night don't make you think that it's not clear suddenly. It seems pretty clear most of the time through 3 years now, or 2.5 years. The pairing doesn't work. If you're going to save Dak, if you're going to get the most you can out of Dak, you have to pair him with a coach who can develop him and who can basically fix him. Because Garrett and Linehan had one job with Dak Prescott. Develop him. He already showed you the raw ability he had. And yes, the league is going to adjust to that. But you have to show that you can basically develop him. And if he's regressed of all things, that blame has to go to Garrett and to Linehan. So, and here's the other simple truth. They don't have a first rounder, as has been mentioned in the comments I saw. They don't have a first rounder next year. They don't. That was the Amari Cooper thing, which, by the way, low key, I'll actually tell you what I think Amari Cooper needs to do to prove his worth for that grade. It was a little rich for my blood at the time, but I'll tell you like a barometer I'm kind of setting to say in hindsight, yes, this was exactly what we needed and the price was worth it. So, as I digress here, I stumbled over my thoughts. So they failed to do it. You don't have a first rounder because of Amari Cooper in that trade. So it's a weak quarterback class coming out anyway. And they already told us after they got Amari, their expectation, their plan was to go receiver in the first round if the Cooper deal didn't happen. They told you what they were going to do, and it wasn't going to be a quarterback. It's a shallow quarterback class. And although there are exceptions where you can get guys later in the draft and them turn into something, Dak, for instance, fourth rounder, it's more rare for sure. You typically have to get a guy in the first round or bare minimum second. But even second round finds are hard to identify, really. So, with that said, quarterback wasn't realistic next year. You don't have to extend Dak until after the 2019 season, so don't. Keep sitting on that. Wait for it to happen. Don't rush. Move on from Garrett this offseason. Bring in a new coach and coordinator with Dak and see if you can get more out of Dak. If this new guy comes in and he shows out and Dak looks better and he looks closer to 2016 or better, which, by the way, it should be better than 2016, then at that point you can say, okay, this was clearly the right move. This coach is the right man for the job. And Dak, now we can look to extend Dak. That's how it resolves itself. You give yourself 1 year of Dak with a new coaching staff and see what they do. If it doesn't work out, if the coach does fine, but Dak continues to regress or doesn't look any better, then you say, okay, maybe it's not all Garrett. Or maybe Dak is so broken at this point, he's not a guy that can be a starter anymore. Totally possible. And if that happens, move on. But you move on with the following year's draft because you got nothing next year and you're damn sure not trading up into a thin quarterback class anyway for a first rounder. The price is going to be too steep. You got too many other issues you still got to address as well. But it'll be interesting to see what they do. To me, you keep Dak. Garrett is the casualty. And here's the other reason that Garrett is the obvious casualty to me here. Garrett has been at least offensive coordinator, if not interim head coach, if not head coach for the Cowboys, since 2007. Let that sink in. 2007. We're going into 11 full... Oof. 11 full years. So that just hit me with a gut punch. I need a moment now to process that. 11 full years with Garrett, at least in a coordinator spot for Dallas. Let's look at the body of work. 2007, his first year, that was a great offense, high-powered. They lucked into Romo taking over the starting job at the end of 2006, or rather the midpoint of 2006, thereabouts, and lighting things on fire, made them come back even better the next year. That defense was loaded. They sent 13 Pro Bowlers that year to the Pro Bowl. Like 13 guys to the Pro Bowl that year. Like, it was insane what Dallas did in 2007. And by the way, they failed to win a playoff game. Just throwing that out there. No NFC title game because they lost in the divisional. Okay, flash forward, 2009, Garrett's still coordinator. They won a playoff game. Cool. Got their ass beat the next game against Minnesota. Yeah, okay. Minnesota probably should have been in the Super Bowl, but they are far through that pick. Whatever. Saints win the Super Bowl that year. Cool. Then we transition over to, let's see, 2010. He takes over as head coach, mid-2010. He goes 5-3 at the end of 2010 to secure the head coaching job. Okay, cool. 11, 12, 13. 8-8, 8-8, 8-8. 2014, his first good year as a head coach. They go 12-4. Again, bend don't break defense. Not a great defense, but a serviceable defense. Mostly because they were very well protected by a dominant offensive line and run game, and best quarterback this franchise has seen in terms of, stats and production. He had that on the table for him as well. They won a playoff game, a wild card game. Could have won the divisional game. Little bit of controversy, obviously, with the Dez catch, no catch game. Dez caught it, we know. Murray hurts him with a crucial fumble in that game as well. If he doesn't fumble there, he's gone probably 75 yards for a touchdown. But nevertheless, Garrett misses out. The team ultimately was good enough. I feel like that was his team that was good enough to win a Super Bowl with him as a head coach and at least get to the NFC title game. And they failed to do that, so to me, they underachieved. And a lot of that had to do, in my mind, with coaching. Cool. So now let's look. 15, dumpster fire. But a lot of injuries, so I can't blame him too much. Whatever. Cast 15 aside. Fine. I won't hold that against him. 16, 13-3. Set on fire by, again, another good but not great defense. And two rookies setting the league on fire, Dak and Zeke. Wait, I've got something for this. Setting the league on fire. And Dallas runs out, first seed, number 1 seed in the NFC. And what happens? We mentioned it earlier. Playoff game rolls around. Divisional round. Green Bay again. Aaron Rodgers again. And Dallas falls behind 21-3. They did not look prepared. They did not look ready. They did not play well. And even though Dak leads a valiant comeback, him and Dez hooked up. That was their one real game of dominance as far as quarterback-receiver connection. It just didn't work out for them. They were behind a lot, so Zeke didn't get to run the ball very much. That minimized. I put an extra syllable in there. That minimized his impact. So Dak and Dez, I don't want to trip out the stream too much with all the fire movement, so let me flip back to reminding you to like this video and subscribe, ring the notification bell, all that. Haha. Wait a minute.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
But anyway, 16, they valiant comeback, fall short, no playoff win again. That's got to be on the head coach. That was very underwhelming. That was a team that should have been at least in the NFC Championship game. Failed to win a playoff game. Here we are now. 17, dumpster fire last year. 9-7. Team had much higher expectations. Now we have this year. We're 4-5 through 9 weeks. Still in the thick of things, but we've seen now the offense is the dumpster fire and the defense is largely the reliable weapon or tool for this team. So to me, it's obvious what the answer is. Dak is the survivor, and Garrett is who you get rid of. Garrett had 7 and 9 with him as offensive coordinator that were good. Mild success. 1 playoff win in 9, nothing in 7 with a team that should have been in the NFC title game, if not the Super Bowl. Then you have 14, should have been in the NFC title game, if not the Super Bowl. And 16, should have been in the NFC title game. So he's had 4. I don't know why I did it this way instead of this way, but here you go. 4 good seasons and 11. And even those good seasons have a total of 2 playoff wins between them. Yeah. And by the way, Garrett's your second longest tenured coach in franchise history behind Tom Landry. Let that sink in too. Garrett's got to go. It's not even a question. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there. I got lost in the wilderness as I was breaking all that down. Do you guys agree with me at all? I see there's a dozen of you or so in the chat or watching the video. Let me know. Hit the comments. Do you agree with me? Is my assessment accurate? Are you feeling this? Let me know. If you guys really like it, I'll do a whole article on it this week for Dallas Sports Fanatic and write it up. I'll do a write-up. I'll even break down some more advanced stats for you. Let me know if you dig it. I'll put it together, and we'll get this thing on Bleacher Report again. Let's see. Let me hit these comments here. Young Onyx, I don't know because Jerry seems like he's starting Love Dak like this second adopted son, just like he did with Romo. Get rid of Garrett. It's been 11 years of depression now. Yep. If you get a new QB, we are going to waste a year or more developing him. If we get a new coach, the team can get better overall over the offseason and training camp. Dak has game, and you can win with Dak and take care of the ball with a coach that can help Dak develop and let Dak play with his strength and his style. He will shock all his doubters. Even at this point, I'd be happy with getting rid of Linehan and Kellen Moore. It's something we all know how Jerry is, and those two things are going to be asking a lot of him. Well, if you're getting rid of, it's not enough to get rid of Linehan. Linehan's a problem too, but it's not just Linehan. This goes all the way to Garrett, I feel. Amari Cooper was the right move. His presence helped other receivers getting open and needed more chemistry. I'm here just listening. Thanks for Guitar Slinging Zombie Killer. It was pretty cool seeing you in Bleacher Report. Thank you, Tavion. I've actually been getting there fairly regularly lately between Mavericks and Cowboys articles, so appreciate the support, buddy. I'm always happy to hear when someone actually reads the work, because obviously I appreciate you guys being here and listening and kind of watching me talk and rant Cowboys, but before I ever did this kind of podcast or live show format, I was just a sports writer. So that was something that was big for me, that I was very getting to Bleacher Report to me means a lot, and my writing is something I'm very proud of and passionate about. So knowing I get support in that way means everything. Let's see. Guitar Singing Zombie. Dak fumbled again. Yes, he did, and threw a pick six. He did not throw a pick six. He had no interceptions last night. Must have been called off by a penalty or something. But no turnover, or no interceptions, I should say, for Dak. Sacked 4 times, though. But yes, I saw a great point in there from Tim talking about Amari Cooper. I started to touch on this earlier and got away from it a little bit. This is another thing that proves his presence changes how the offense works, because it doesn't just give Dak a much better weapon, a more physical, gifted weapon than he's had all year. A dropped pick six. Yes, you're right. It doesn't just give him a better weapon than he's had all year, a more physical and talented weapon. It also gives him a. It doesn't stack. It unstacks the box for Zeke, which lets Zeke run better. And it opens up the other receivers. Why do you think it's a coincidence that Allen Hurns has been making some big plays the last couple of weeks? I mean, I know we're only talking about like 2 catches, but they're like 2 big catches. The one in this game could have gone for a touchdown potentially. He just gets stopped a couple yards shy. And same for the Titans game. Another impressive play out of him in that. It's because he's getting better looks. He's not being blanketed in the same way. He's not having to draw the number 1 corner, and it's making it easier for him to do something. And hey, that's good. He was a cheap investment, but he's been largely disappointing this year. It became painfully obvious he was not capable of being the number 1 receiver, and I think him in that 2 to 3 role, kind of flipping with Michael Gallup, I think that's the way to do it. And speaking of receivers, Cole Beasley, I bet you anything gets extended this summer, and your receiving core moving forward is Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and Cole Beasley. That's pretty nice. You pair that with Zeke and hopefully find a way to get Dak back on track. Pair all of that with the defense. Ooh, imagine if they get a safety. Ooh, whether it's signing Earl Thomas in free agency, now at a somewhat reduced rate. Don't worry, his leg break was clean. There's no ligament damage or tendons or anything. He'll make a full recovery. Hey, that's the kind of dynamic ball hawk that changes everything for a defense. We got our leader. We got our war daddy, as Jerry likes to put it, and DeMarcus Lawrence up front. Now, he's playing through a torn labrum, so he's not getting the huge sack numbers, but he is absolutely the leader of that defense. He is making his presence still felt, and he's wreaking havoc. So you got him on the front level. Sean Lee is like your quarterback in the linebacker unit and everything, but even with Sean Lee's health being, again, such a concern this year, you've also now got Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith, who together they're going to be beasts of linebackers for years to come. I bet you, what's something I can bet you guys that I would not go broke paying every single one of you? I'll think of it later. But I bet you guys there comes a time when both Lee and Vander Esch, or not Lee, where both Jalen Smith and Vander Esch are Pro Bowlers in the same season. The same season. So they got that as well. If you add an Earl Thomas to that back end of the defense, ooh, this defense is going to be complete. I mean, if you do that, and if you can fix Dak with everything else they got going, that's a Super Bowl contender. And I know that is such a blasphemous phrase to throw around because it's thrown around so much every other year, it feels like, around Dallas. But, I mean, think about it. If your offensive line, and your line is huge too, if your offensive line can get back to a semblance of what it was the past couple years, if it can do that, well, last year was kind of a down year for it too. Let's say the offensive line can get anywhere close to 2016 levels. Cool. 2016 offensive line. Dak bouncing back and looking a little bit more like his 2016 self at least. You've already got Cooper. You've got your receiving core settled. Year 2 of Gallup will be pretty good, I believe. If you give all that and a Earl Thomas or a safety like him, like if you look in the draft, a guy kind of like a Derwin James perhaps, this team will be stacked. Right now, this team's two biggest issues are the offensive line has not been right, and Dak has been regressing. You fix those two things, this becomes well, here.
Oh, yeah.
Not the button I was looking for, but you know what? I'll rock it. I'll rock some Macho Man. I skimmed through it until I saw your name, then I read the entire thing. Oh, appreciate you, buddy. Appreciate you, Tavion. We can get Zach Gentry in the second round or Taylor Rapp if he falls. Interesting. I have not started my draft analysis yet. That's more so like a Vach Lombardi thing. I know he's already got his main guys he's targeting and looking at. I am going to be keeping an eye out, however, for that because I am curious to see as we get closer to the draft where we can go. Tim, I really appreciate your channel. Humble and honest. Keep doing what you do. I support you from Oak Cliff, Dallas. Hey, man, absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that, man. That means a lot. It really does. I'm just a random guy that's trying to start something here, trying to start kind of... I want to build up Dallas Prospect to be like an actual media entity, but it's like... I want to build basically a media network, an independent media network with Dallas Prospect. That's why I work with great guys like Law Nation, like Big Game James and Producer G from Silver and Blue Nation. It's a grind. It absolutely is. Another channel to check out, by the way. If you're looking for more live in-game commentary, they're awesome. The Sports Fury, check them out. Josh and Sean, those guys are awesome. I'm definitely looking to do more collaborations with them in the future. But yes, I really appreciate it. That kind of stuff makes my day. I mean, a lot of work goes into this, especially being like a one-man operation at the moment. So appreciate that, buddy. Troy Aikman for GM, the GM we deserve. He wouldn't put up with the nonsense we've been going through. His similar experiences with Switzer. He's been calling the team out on all of its problems. Absolutely, but here's the problem. Jerry Jones is the GM, and Jerry the owner will never fire Jerry the GM, especially now that he finally had 1 year where he had validation, 2016, and he was the executive of the year in the NFL, which is hilarious to me because they gave him that not just for his team going 13-3, but because he had Zeke and because he had Dak. Okay, you got Zeke. Cool. That was a good pick. I mean, you could make a case maybe if Jalen Ramsey would have been better for the cornerback, but whatever. Let's look at Dak because that's what a lot of his credit came from. He wanted to trade up into the first round again for Paxton Lynch and strongly lamented not upping their offer to beat out the Broncos' offer. So he lost out on Paxton Lynch. Then he said in the second round, all right, Connor Cook, that's my dude. Let's do it. And then Connor Cook, someone else snatched him up a pick or two before them. And then he thinks fourth round rolls around. He's like, all right. Oh, who was it in the fourth round? There was one more guy in the fourth round. I can't remember who it was in the fourth round. I feel like there was one more guy in the fourth round he still wanted before Dak. And then when that guy got snatched up, initially, if you remember, Dak Prescott was the compensatory pick from DeMarco Murray leaving Dallas for Philadelphia. And the first fourth-round pick Dallas had went towards the guy out of Oklahoma. How am I forgetting the guy out of Oklahoma's name? Of all people. He was on the team until just this year. He's cut now. He's not in the league as far as I know. Wow. I don't know. Hit it in the comments. That's embarrassing. I just had a complete brain fart on air. That's... You blew it! Wait. I got something for this. I am disappointed with myself here. That is a fail. That is... You know what? I that's not enough. I need to hit the fail with the sound effect. There it is. All right. Oh, man. That's going to bug the hell out of me. Who is it? I'm going to look that up. It's going to drive me nuts when I find it, too. Going to drive me nuts. Charles Tapper. How did I forget Charles Tapper? Come on, DDP. Come on, son. Anyway, Charles Tapper, yes, released by the team. He was the initial fourth-round pick for Dallas. Dak was the compensatory pick that they only got because of DeMarco leaving for Philadelphia. Fun fact. Oh, the irony of that I was pointing out was that Jerry thinks he's a great GM despite all of that. What up, Daniel? Your timing's a little unfortunate. I am just wrapping up the show, actually. Let's see. I've been going 53 minutes. At this point, I'm going to assume I don't have Law Nation joining me. That's cool. Yeah, I know he's been busy this week. But, yeah, I'm going to do my run-through of everything. Again, if you guys want, follow me on... Oh, looks like I hit the Twitch one. Yes, we have a Twitch. It's kind of there. Like, it cross-streams what you see here. My understanding of Twitch is that you can stream the audio only from Twitch. So if ever you want to listen to me live on the go, there's an option. The Dallas Prospect on Twitch. Let me see. While I got you here, one more time, smash that like button. Hit subscribe. Ring the notification bell. That way you see every time I go live 4, 5, 6 times a week. It just depends. Sometimes I'm talking Mavericks. Sometimes I'm talking Cowboys. Hell, sometimes I'm talking Big 12 football. It just depends. But I am always working, always grinding to give you guys the best input and analysis I can. Also, check out my articles on Dallas Sports Fanatic. Now, they do eventually cross-post about 12 hours later, at the very latest the next morning, to thedallasprospect.com, but first dibs always goes to Dallas Sports Fanatic. Those also then are eligible to be picked up by Bleacher Report, and I think I've had like 5 out of 6 get picked up on Bleacher Report between Mavericks and Cowboys talk, so that's cool. I've got a Cowboys and Mavs article both coming this week. I saw the Mavs one earlier, as someone pointed out in the chat. I think that was... Onyx who pointed that out. Yeah, young Onyx. Yes, so I got some great content coming on that. Keep an eye out for it. Hey, let's why not? Let's plug Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. You can either follow at Dallas Prospect or my personal Twitter at DDP_journalist. And we'll grow this thing, man. I'm going to give live tweeting. That seems redundant. I'm going to live tweet games. Everything's on there as well. Hell, you can watch the stream on Periscope on Twitter if you want. It's always on the page. Now we have to go against Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. Yay, fun. That's going to be a tough game, but hey, Atlanta just got smoked by the Browns, so you never know. And hey, as bad as we felt about the Titans' loss last week, they did just go into New England and kick the dog snot out of the probably second best team in the AFC, ? Beat the snot out of New England in New England. So the NFL is weird, man. It's just week-to-week matchups. Sometimes it's just what particular Sunday it is. But yes, if you guys keep an eye out, I will be back on here probably Wednesday for some Mavs talk as well. If you support this, you have the options. If you really want to show love and support the Dallas Prospect, again, my one-man operation, you got Super Chat down below in the description. You've got Cash.me or whatever. You got Cash Me. You got PayPal Me. And hey, as you see here above my head, or slightly to the left of my head, Patreon. You got 3 tiers there, $1, $5, $10. Every one of them gives you access to behind-the-scenes content, early access, including my Mavericks retrospective series I'm working on. I'll have Cowboy ones too, don't worry. And also will grant you discount codes towards Dallas Prospect merchandise, which I was gonna show you the design actually for my new merch that I got coming out, my one that I've been working on, but I feel it might not be. I'll show it to you anyway. Who knows? Maybe some of you are Maverick fans. Luka Legend 77, Dallas Prospect original design. Keep an eye out for that as well. We'll have those going live as well. But that's all my time for this show, guys. I really appreciate each and every one of you. I honestly mean it. Means the world having people actually interested in hearing what I have to say, caring. And I try to give the most to you guys I can. If you have suggestions, if you have ideas or things you want to talk about, hit me up absolutely. Direct message me on Facebook or Twitter, Instagram even. I mean, whatever works. Just hit me up. I'm all ears. I will give you guys everything of myself that I can. Thank you for everything. So I will not let you down. But until next time, remember, every legend was once a prospect. Salute.